And I hear a small, still voice that says, I want you to be a counselor. I literally looked around the room because it was that real. I really want you to be a counselor. I said, no, do not want to be a counselor. It was the last thing I wanted to be. I said no to God twice. And then he said, yes, I do want you to do this or want you to be a therapist. And I thought about it a minute and I said, I'll tell you what, if you do, you better make me a damn good one. After I said, okay, I never looked back. And that was 45 years ago. And I give him the credit, I promise you. There are things that come out of my mouth that I absolutely have no idea where they came from.
Hey guys, it's Nancy, and welcome to the She Laughs podcast. Sit down with me while I chat and get personal with some insanely cool women as they share their smarts and their hearts. God gave us each unique gifts, and we got to use them. Inside each one of us is a cool girl. So buckle up. Let's get vulnerable. Let's get real, and let's laugh.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the She Laughs podcast. And today I'm so excited because this is just someone I admire so much joining us. I adore her. This is Theresa Moore, a gifted therapist, educator, and all-around amazing human who's been helping people live fuller lives for decades. We're going to dive into her unique way of uncovering the wisdom that's already inside of us. And I promise today you're going to walk away with something you can use in your own life right away. Teresa is working on something really interesting and very cool she'll be launching shortly called Conversations with Women. So we're going to talk a little bit about that later in the show. And right now we're going to hear from Teresa and also how to be present in a relationship. As we know, there are cell phones and everything pulling us out of having a conversation, right? So she's going to talk about the here and now, you and me. But without further ado, let me bring Teresa. Hi, Teresa. We're so happy you're here today.
Oh, the luckiness. So am I.
I just love her to bits, guys, and you will too. She's been such a wonderful pillar and foundation for me to always go to. And I know that she's going to share some of her great kernels of wisdom today with us. Teresa, tell us a little bit about your journey. This is something I don't even know. And what brought you to be a psychotherapist, and then a little bit about your faith along that journey and throughout your career.
You want the short version? No, the long version. Well, I'll give you the shorter version. On you go. So I was born into a family where my father was a Southern Baptist minister, my mother in the 50s and 60s, the typical pastor's wife, and they became missionaries to Brazil when they were 6. So that sets the tone of sort of what faith looked like to me. I just thought as a 6-year-old that if everybody believed in God, they would have their needs met, and those poor people in Brazil would not be so poor anymore, and everything would be cool, right? Why couldn't they just believe in Jesus and everything would be fine? But everything isn't always fine, even when we believe in Jesus. And for me, this whole journey and truly faith and my being a counselor are intertwined. Cannot separate those two.
You love that.
I have known Jesus since I think before I was born. I always knew Jesus and didn't always understand God's position because, of course, it was very mixed up with my dad and the power that the church gave him and the adoration that they gave him. And what happened in my home and what happened at church were very different, very different. And so my fountain, if you will, was really Jesus. But at every time, because I have not had a mainstream faith development. Okay, it just hasn't been.
I mean, because of the
Black. Yeah,
Right.
I'm just saying I'm not a kid who lived in the same place and went to the same church and parents were active in the church or head of the church and just went through life in the mainstream of life. Mine was always on the bank. I was always on the bank and have questioned a lot. I have searched a lot. I have fought this a lot. Part of that is my nature, and part of that is just my life experience. But every time, even when I turn away and say, I've had enough, this is not working for me, I realized that it didn't matter how far I went. It didn't matter what I was saying or doing. The Holy Spirit was still part of the choices that I was making, providing needs when I had them and didn't know how I was going to meet them. And at this age and stage in my life, what I say is, from my perspective, it really doesn't matter where you decide you're going to go and try to rebel or try to adapt or perform or whatever it is. The Holy Spirit is consistently in reach. And always.
And I will be with you wherever you go.
I will be with you wherever you go. And I really even believe that about some people. And there's so many mysteries, but I believe that the Holy Spirit is available to anyone on the face of this earth who says help.
Yeah, agree.
And so I am not particularly religious today, but I am very spiritual and faith driven.
Okay, explain that because that can confuse people.
Oh my goodness, yes, it confused me.
People say spiritual and they're meaning a yogi experience or
I know. So here's how I am not going to judge that. Let me just say that up front. I'm not going to judge, but for me, the foundation is my belief in the Trinity. And the fact that no matter how I look at it or what I study or where I go, the resurrection is the resurrection. Do I believe that there is only one way to get somewhere? There are too many stories from people who have come from the furthest religions of the world. And by God's leading, not any Bible, not any church, not any theology, that person has followed Christ. And so I am too small a person to think that I can understand all that God. I sometimes think he just giggles when he is up there listening to us and wanting to know why we're making this so difficult. But does that help separate it out? Yes, I believe there are many people who have been wounded by the church, I might add, wounded by parents who came from, although maybe good intentions, were very harmful, very judgmental. And so the wounding of that is difficult to overcome and come back to, okay, this is good. This is where I feel the best. And when I say feel the best, I really mean the peace that passes all understanding. Yeah. Yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. And I think it gives everybody an idea of where you're coming from and your journey and within your practice. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you want to keep going or you want, I'm going to give you one reason how I got to be a therapist because I find it quite hysterical.
Please. Okay, yeah, I'm loving all this. I didn't know any of this. And y'all, I've known Teresa for maybe 5-6 years now, and I didn't know any of that. So this is exciting for me.
Yeah, well, I tell this story because it's just sometimes, you know how we say you can't make up this shit? Can I swear on here? Or that's good. But you can't. I couldn't. So I was at the end of the first initial counseling just for myself. It was a week-long retreat. And here I am sitting in the office of the director who did an exit interview. How was your week? What'd you learn? All that stuff. And he had a phone call and he said, I'm so sorry this never happens, but I really have to take this. And I said, no problem. So he steps out and I'm sitting, there's a nice atrium, I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs. And I hear this, I'm going to say, small, still voice, okay, that says, I want you to be a counselor. I literally looked around the room because it was that real.
Right.
I really want you to be a counselor.
It's audible.
I said, yeah. I said, no, do not want to be a counselor. It was the last thing I wanted to be. Okay.
What did you want to be?
I didn't know, but I wasn't a counselor. And here's why. The only experience I'd ever had with that was my parents. Then they ended up divorced, and it was chaotic, life-threatening. It was not good. And so therapy, nothing had helped. Nothing had helped. And my biggest concern was not that therapy didn't work, because it isn't a magic potion. It really isn't. But I didn't want to say something that was misunderstood and only created more hurt for the client, which I had felt that way in my home because I felt responsible for all the chaos. And why would I want to go do that with somebody else? So that is the main reason why I said, no way. But I also I didn't set out to have a psych degree. The psychology degree, I was going to be a doctor. I was going to be an international linguist. I was going to be a pharmacist. I was going to be all kinds of different things because my reason to go to college was to be able to financially be secure, because my mother had given all that up. And when my parents divorced, we had nothing.
Wow.
But at the end of my wandering around for 4 years, the registrar called me down and said, you've got to declare a major. And I said, is there anything on my transcript that qualifies? And she came back and said, yeah, as a matter of fact, there is psychology. So it was my curiosity, and it's just that. And I had no idea, Nancy, what I was going to be doing. But I said no to God twice. And then he said, yes, I do want you to do this, or want you to be a therapist. And I thought about it a minute, and I said, I'll tell you what, if you do, you better make me a damn good one. Because I don't know who I thought I was really talking to. I knew I was really, that's who I thought I was really talking to. But who argues with God? And who says, well, you better make me a damn good one? I don't know. I was a piece of work. But it really was the only thing I felt that would help me know that I would not be hurting people, that I would not. So that was so important to me. But after I said, okay, I never looked back. And that was 45 years ago.
Golly.
Yeah.
And do you think, by the way, you are a really dang good therapist. So he delivered on your request.
He did. I'm here, and I give him the credit. I promise you. There are things that come out of my mouth that I absolutely have no idea where they came from.
And they're from him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's really what we're trying to do here, is to help women step out into the gifts God gave them. And oftentimes they do what you do. We all say, no way, I can't, I'm not. And he's, yes. And so I love that you listened and eventually just said, okay, here we go, and did it. And look at you today. It's amazing all the people that you've helped. And I wonder too, do you believe, and of course, again, we're guessing God knows everything, and he's probably thinking, okay, well, let's hear this, even though he already knows what I'm going to say. No. But do you think that he had you become a therapist not only to help others and bring more people to Jesus, but also to help heal yourself and what had hurt you inside? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And at that point, that day, I had no idea. I was like Miss Innocent when it came to knowing how much healing needed to take place.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. And I want to tell you, I tell the students that I have the privilege of talking to or working with who are becoming counselors, and I say, let me just tell you, you need to be in therapy regularly for the rest of your career. Because when I am talking to a client and you are telling me what for you is the most shameful, hurtful thing, and I haven't looked at that myself, oh my gosh, I am not going to be able to respond to that with the kind of empathy and connection. There's that word we're talking about today, so that you feel safe and you know that somebody has your situation in hand with you, not for you.
With you.
So in my book, it's imperative that you read and you study. And part of that is doing your own work, because every human being on the face of this earth can benefit from counseling. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean you're broken. I don't believe that at all. And it really can help. It really can help.
Oh, it's life-changing, and I equate it to everybody's so worried about what we look like on the outside. We're going to the gym, we're eating protein bars, we're going to the sauna, and getting our hair highlighted and all these things, when
And I get my hair highlighted. Don't be knocking that.
those things. That's why I'm saying,
No,
I get it. We all do that to be healthier, right? And but we neglect, I think, a lot of us, the internal work, because what's in here and here, really needs to be exercised too, worked through as well, right? I mean,
yes, absolutely. I tell people I really am, in my opinion, a walking miracle. And again, that is through God's faith in taking care of me. Because there have been a couple of times there's a turning point for me in my life, and how we're impacted by our history, but also in our faith. And that was, I'm sitting on the edge of my bed and with a bottle of pills. I was ready to commit suicide because I was so ashamed and I felt like I was so broken and not enough. I was 21 and I had lived for 21 years and survived for 21 years. And in this particular time and place in my life, I just thought, I can't keep doing this. And it really was first my curiosity, which I think is at the foundation of any health that we are trying to figure out. But I thought, how come all these other people out there seem to be okay and getting on with their lives, and they're not sitting on the edge of their bed ready to kill themselves? And it was that question that turned me around. And I said, maybe I need to look into that a little more before I decide to end things. And if I get to the end of the line of that and I haven't found anything, okay, I can reconsider that. I know this sounds too,
it does.
but it really was. And I didn't know where to begin. And guess what?
Wow.
The only thing and the only place I'd ever felt even a little bit of sanity was Jesus.
Oh. And I know you said I didn't know where to begin, but the one thing I knew that had brought me comfort a little bit was Jesus. So what was your next step? You put the pills away.
Yeah, I did.
Resolved to do what?
The next step is I went to, actually my mother directed me there, which is a miracle in and of itself, but it was a weekend, a spiritual renovation type weekend. And she came back and I saw a strength in her I'd never seen before. And so I went and I just started following that path. I came back from that and I felt like I needed to give my aunt a call, who lived in Uvalde, Texas. Now, you know what Uvalde, Texas is because of the school shooting.
Right.
Yeah. But it not it was the end of the earth.
Yeah, we're down there.
It is. But my point being, she called and she needed somebody to come and help her because her tech had left unannounced, and I didn't have a job, and I was in between not knowing where I was going to go. So I packed up my stuff and moved to Texas. That's how I got here.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was God's step. I just kept taking the next step, Nancy, really. I did not have a game plan. I did not know where I was going to take
that. And Joyce Myers says that. She says, don't know where to, what to do or where you're going, what direction. Just take the next step where God guides you. And you may not see everything ahead of that next step, but just keep taking the next step.
And we worry so much about making mistakes and is this the right step? And and I must say this a million times a week. There is no wrong answer.
You've said
yes, there is no wrong answer. Good, bad, right, wrong is a very fear-based way of thinking. It limits God so much from my perspective. And if I have any sense of that intuition or the spirit, if it doesn't look like the right step for me, but it seems like it's the only step, or okay, and I've talked it over, head fire, take it.
right.
And if you get down a couple of steps and it goes, no, I don't think I'm going to do this. Okay, what's the worst that can happen? All you do is you take a left or a right and you get there either way.
And I think it's a journey to get there. When we were younger and I didn't want to do something that didn't feel right when we were young, Mom would just blame it on me. Just tell him that Mom won't let you go when you're younger. And now that I'm older, I've learned to say, after I've taken it to God and I just don't feel right about it, I will now say, you know what? I just don't have peace about this. And that is, you're right. And then you suddenly feel better. But you have to get to that point where you're comfortable saying, okay, this doesn't feel like a good move, everybody. I'm going to back out of this or whatever. Yeah.
My comment will probably just sum this up because it's not for today, but this is when understanding how we work and who we are makes those kind of situations and dilemmas more workable, because some people are so fear-driven that they can't even stop to feel enough peace or even an inkling of curiosity because of the depth of insecurity that means to them. So this is where therapy and faith come together.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about that on our next time together because I think everybody would love to hear that if you will come back to do. Because the podcast is She Laughs Without Fear is based on that scripture. And you're right. There's a lot of fear out there. But for now, I'd love us to hear a little bit. You and I talked the other day about this when we were talking about the podcast, and there's so many topics where to go. We settled on that here and now, you and me, and the importance of being present and when you're with somebody. And I'd love for you to share with everybody some of your thoughts on that and what presents itself in your practice, how it presents in your practice, and what you've observed and how to help us get out of that.
It really is the number one thing today that I think is putting us in significant trouble.
Why?
Because we are more disconnected from our children, from each other, from friends, from all kinds, just God, how we live our lives. And we don't really understand what I just said as a rule. We don't feel like we're disconnected. We're going through the motions. I'm showing up. I'm following through. I'm a good employee. I'm a good wife. I'm all these things, and I am checking all the boxes. and I'm still not present. Okay, and somebody's going to say, what do you mean I'm not present? I'm out there doing all that.
Never. Okay, I'm here at my children's game or my husband's speaking event, or I'm
at
at
a gala or a party. Yeah.
okay.
But there are times, most of the time right now, and social media has heated this up, but I want to say it existed before social media or computers or any of that. Being present means that I am not making a list in my head, that I am not thinking about what I'm going to cook for dinner at noon, that I am not wondering if my new partner, love object, is going to text me or call me or why they haven't. The list is infinite on what can distract us. And we have so many things that come across our screen that we are overloaded. And trying to manage that in and of itself requires energy that is taken away from presence. Presence is when I am not paying attention to when I'm not helpful. And so I think that what we have before us is a concerted effort to, one, eliminate the screens.
The literal screens that you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about yes. Okay. And then being able to calm our brains. And this requires practice and some regulation. And we are pretty regulated right now in this world. We're trying to worry about this and that and the other. Okay. Our kids come home and they are demanding and they have long lists, or our husbands, or the calendars, or the expectations, or what the church wants me to do, or my volunteer. Okay, all those things take away from presence. And so if you want to think about presence, it's not sit in a room and close your eyes.
Okay.
And just
do it now.
Sure, try now. Yeah. Close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths and blow the air out. That's really important. It helps your body to settle a little more. And then pay attention to the five senses. What are you smelling? What are you experience on your skin with the temperature or a breeze, or what are you tasting? What's in your mouth? What are you hearing? And when you do that, what are you experiencing, Nancy? And it's harder because you're listening to me as we do this, right?
Yeah, but I've become aware of, you said, what does your mouth taste like? It tastes like the coffee I was drinking. And I wasn't aware of that before. I could feel the rug on my toes because I don't have any shoes. I feel what that feels like. And I realized that the room is hotter than I want it to be because sun shining in now, the temperature's gone up. Yeah, I wasn't aware of those before.
Exactly. And it brings you into the moment.
Yeah.
There's no list. There's no expectation. There's no judgment. There's so much. You're increasing capacity. You know what? Those two words are really important. Increasing capacity means I am allowing more of my time and energy, whether it's vulnerability or whether it's something I've prepared to say, but I am increasing the opportunity to connect. Now, there's the word connect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There is a book that I wrote, Practicing Presence by Joy wrote Prouty. I never can pronounce her last name, but it's a great book. And Practicing Presence. And they use pictures and give examples of what it looks like. And what it feels like is what I go for as a therapist. What does it feel like to empty out the best you can?
You mean while I was doing that exercise or no?
Wow. Or doing that, you emptied out to be able to focus on the five senses.
It feels calming and more peaceful and, like you said, connected to my surroundings. So is this something that happens to people when they're not present? So it's not just the screens and the phones and the iPads it's also if, let's say, your spouse walks in the door and in your head you're thinking about the stuff you've got to do before tomorrow, and you're thinking about what happened during the day, and you're like, hey, honey, and they're talking to you. And then you may not even remember what they said because you're really not listening. You're hearing them, but you're not listening. Is that what you're saying?
That's absolutely. And 90% of what takes us away from here and now present is what's going on between my ears. What I'm worried about for relationships, name them, there are many types. What I feel about myself and how people see me, how I see myself, all that stuff you were naming a while ago that we do to try to fit in and belong. These are all basic needs that we're talking about. So we find ways to meet them. And present is really helpful for meeting basic needs, but it's also threatening. Because if I'm afraid of what you think of me, then I'm only going to be able to spend, let's say, a few seconds where I'm truly present.
Oh, wow. Really? Because the rest of the time, your head's full of junk worrying about what they're thinking about you, is what you're saying.
And what I'm thinking about myself and what I really need to do. And I need to really lose 10 more pounds so that I look better. And so that the funny thing is you can do all that and you still have all that going around.
Because you haven't done what you need to do inside, what you were talking about before.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got a question about all this. So for everybody that's listening today, let's say there's 3 things, or maybe there's more, but sometimes when we get more than 3, it's hard to remember. But if there are 3 things, you're walking into a party or into a meeting or your children's conference or see a client, whatever it is, right? And a dinner with your spouse, really connect, right? More of than just here's my day, just regurgitate it. What would you recommend someone do before they walk into that type of situation with somebody else if they really want to be present?
Okay. I would do exactly what I ran through with you. I don't even know if that took a minute, maybe. Take 2 minutes. Just to center and ground. Then the next thing I would say to do is ask yourself, what is my intention for this conference, this meeting, having dinner with a friend or my husband or any of that?
I'm going to write that.
What is it that my intention is for this time? What do I want to actually do? And it will clear out other noise in your head about performance or perfection or blaming, because if you really stop and go, I really just want to have a nice evening. I just want to sit here and enjoy the food and look out the window or talk about the summer vacation, but it's more specific. Then when you're actually sitting there and their energy's low, let's say, or they bring up a touchy topic, you have to decide, well, I want to be present for this or not, because here's something that people don't know, or they probably know some. Dissociation is really a good thing. It keeps you out of arguing. It keeps you out of needing to push your agenda. And basically, you are listening. That's it. And you really sort of over here, dissociation just means I'm not really paying super attention. So you can disconnect and reconnect. So I don't want you to think that you're sitting there like this, going, okay, present. I got to be present. That takes you away from being present.
Okay.
So those are the things that you just have to keep checking back in with yourself. It can be eye contact. Am I really listening to you? Or do I find that I'm not listening? I'm just hearing your words and I'm not even, somebody else stop and say, yeah, what do you think about that? And you go, I'm not sure. Yeah. How you doing? No.
My manager was talking about the days. I got to pay attention because if they call on me in this call, I can't go, bah. So yes. Right.
Yeah. And see what he did was he pulled everything and said, I've got to be here. So he was, I imagine.
Yes.
And when you go trailing off, you go, okay, wait a minute, I got to come back. I got to be here for this. Those are the things you do to stay present as a practice. And then after a while, you start realizing what is really getting in your way. And those are the things that you have to clean out.
That's so awesome because so much of us are not doing that. And like you said, we're not even aware.
No, we're not aware. That's right.
Not even aware.
Listen, I can be on the couch and I am playing a game and my little Maltese comes up and pulls on my shoestring to get my attention. We will look at that phone and she pushed it off the couch one day. I'm not kidding. I thought,
they know too. They feel it.
Yes. It's being able to consciously say, I'm putting this up. I am not going to look at it. And instead, I'm going to find my child, find my husband. Yep.
Okay.
Or even time with yourself, even time to yourself.
Oh,
See,
for sure.
We have to be present to us, just like you were saying. When I was having you go through the 5 senses. Yeah.
And that's helpful for people, right? If they feel anxiety coming on, to go through that practice and really get present in the moment to help distract from the anxiety and bring them back to center. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Before we close, I would love for you to tell everybody, I alluded to this at the beginning, that you are going to be launching something called Conversations with Women coming up. Would you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I am interested in being able to sit with groups of women and have there be a conversation instead of me presenting or me telling you what I know or what the book says, or I don't want to have to give you a meal of information. Do you know what I'm saying? That I feel like I'm saying, okay, here, you should know all this or go home and do this now. And everybody walks out going, oh my gosh, I am so overwhelmed. And instead, I want to be able to sit down and not stand up in front of. I want to be able to say, okay, tell me what you're thinking.
Let's discuss.
Let's talk about it. Let's hear what other people have experienced and what can we look at and what's worked and not worked and how can we be in the here and now when there's 14 trillion things going across one screen, never mind 5 in the family. Wow. And so it is wanting to bring together for connection, for community, for presence, and just probably going back to the way probably 100 years ago, that this is the way people communicated. They had
in person. Right. In person.
I would love in person, but I'm also looking at doing some of it online like this Zoom because I was very against it when I was first looking. COVID was on the horizon there. And it works. Mm-hmm. It works. And some of my clients I have never met face to face, but there's still a connection and there's still presence and so it does still work. And you can do that. And again, I'm talking about when I say small groups, 6 to 8.
Okay.
6 to 8. I'm not talking about 40 or 50 or 6 to 8. Everybody's going to fit on the same screen. Okay. Right. We're not going to have pages.
Yes. Okay.
No. And I've actually, what?
Somewhat intimate size of a group. Not
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So, Teresa, for those listeners that would like to contact you about anything, because I know you can help with so many things, want to reach out for therapy individually, or if they have a group that they think would be a great fit for you, can you tell the listeners how they can best contact you?
Yes, I'm going to keep it simple. Right now, the best way to do it is the email, which is DOC, the number 2, then squared, SQUARED @gmail.com.
Okay. Awesome.
And as the website is opened, because right now I think it'd be frustrating to go and just see in progress. And there's still a couple of more weeks before that's going to.
Okay. Okay, great. And then for those of you listening, maybe you're driving or running or at the grocery store and you're listening to this and you want to be able to find it later, I will have it underneath. You'll find it in the caption today on when we post this podcast. So, Teresa, so grateful for you and for so many things in my life and for being here today. You are so lovely and wonderful and wise. And
this is going to
we're
work.
having you back.
Thank you. I will be here. I will be able. This is so much fun. I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking me. I really mean it's
just wonderful. And your story is beautiful and strong and real. And I appreciate you sharing it today. Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks for being here today. We will see you next time. Thanks so much for listening to She Laughs. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend who might need a little courage or a reminder that she's not alone? Every share helps more women find their inner cool girl and kick fear to the curb. You can find links to our guests, watch full episodes on YouTube, and connect with me on social at She Laughs Podcast Official, all in the show notes. And remember, the dream inside of you means something. Take the first step. Be brave. God's got your back. And girl, you've got this.